Kit Kats can read. Hey guys, it's Katie and welcome to another video, and in today's video I am going to be doing my September wrap up. I cannot believe that it's October already, the month of spookiness, the month of Halloween, the month of pumpkins and cinnamon and sweets and just dark times ahead, people, dark times ahead. So here we are with my wrap up for September, all the books that I managed to read in September, so let's get started. The first book that I read and completed in September was My Not So Perfect Life by Sophie Kinsella. I have actually done a non-spoiler video reviewing this, so whether it's up now or whether it isn't, it will be linked down in the description box below for you to check more of my thoughts on this book. But all in all, I really enjoyed this book. It's a chocolatey sort of novel. This is about a girl who ends up getting fired at her job, and to save embarrassment of admitting to her dad that she's lost her job, she ends up sort of helping them do a glamping sort of trip, and lo and behold, her boss actually manages to book at this glamping trip, and then Katie has to pretend that she's somebody different. So she sort of thinks, like, how can I get my own back on my boss for actually firing me? And it's just one of those stories where maybe these two people have more in common than they actually thought. It was really enjoyable, and I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 Kit Kats. Next of all, I read a couple of samplers that I got from publishers, so I just want to give them a little honorary mention. I read this little sample of Tangleweed and Brine by Deirdre Sullivan, which I believe is now released. There's a finished copy of this out, and I feel like this sort of little booklet is absolutely gorgeous, and I feel like the actual final copy is going to be really interesting. It's basically going to be bewitched retellings of classic fairy tales with brave heroines in. So there's only a tiniest little bit in it, but from what I actually read was really enjoyable. So from what I read in this, I only gave it 5 out of 5 Kit Kats, but I am probably going to enjoy the actual full book. So I may purchase it as an ebook pretty damn soon, or maybe the finished copy, but I've got way too many finished copies, so I need to probably purchase it as an ebook, to be honest. And the other sampler that I read was The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo, which is her new and latest book. It's now released. The cover is absolutely gorgeous, pretty much like this, but like in a beautiful hardcover edition, and I believe like it's just really pretty underneath as well. I don't actually have the copy yet, but I know it's going to be similar on the inside, where every story has a different coloured font, and as I flick through here you can kind of see. But there's only 3 stories in this sampler, and I actually kind of liked the last story the most. The very last story was my most favourite of all 3. So the stories that were in this sampler was The Two Clever Fox, The Witch of Duva and Little Knife. Little Knife was my most favourite, and I feel like The Witch of Duva was my least, and The Two Clever Fox was my one in the middle. So all in all, for these 3 stories, even though there's only 3 stories and there's definitely more in the finished copy, I gave this little sampler a 4.5 stars, which is quite a high rating, so I have high hopes for the finished copy, which I do actually have an ebook of that I got of it, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the full book holds. The next book that I read and completed in September was They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I'm still finding it really hard saying at the end of September, because it's now October. It's still really weird just sort of saying that, and I'm finding it really hard to come to terms with it. And today is the 1st of the month, so maybe that's why, but still it's just very weird how quickly this year has gone. It's so bizarre. But anyway, this book, I really enjoyed it. I did do a non-spoiler video reviewing this, which I will link down below in the description box for you to check more of my thoughts. But this is basically about 2 boys who are given a phone call from this sort of company that say, today is gonna be your last day, you have 24 hours until then, so live your day like your last, soz. And then they basically sort of meet each other through this Friends app, because there's this application that somebody created for if somebody wanted to have, you know, somebody to spend their last day with. So these two boys have both had the phone call and they meet each other and they sort of have their last little day together and get to do things that they wanted to do, like talk to their family and so on and so forth. So really this is just a story about themselves. It's a very, very emotional story. It choked me at the end. I very, very nearly cried. It really did catch me right here. You know, when you pop a joke, it really got me there, and it's definitely really, really emotional. I know it's kind of obvious in the title, they both die at the end. We know what's going to happen, but what are the consequences and how is it going to happen and how do they meet and how do they come about, how do they go on their journey? It's kind of like a road trip for death, and that's kind of what I liked about this book. But again, just check more on my thoughts in the video if you want to check more, which I'll link down below in the description. But in the end, I gave this book 4.5 Kit Kats, and it's definitely really enjoyable. The only thing that I didn't like about this book was the extra multi-perspectives. You've got the story told from Matteo and Rufus, but you also have other little mini cameo roles as well. I just found them to be a little bit pointless, and I didn't like being drawn away from the two main characters. I like to hear their story, so I just didn't really enjoy that part of it, so that's why I just knocked off like half a star. But other than that, the rest of it was just flipping amazing. The last book that I read in September is a manga. It is Meteor Prince volume number 1, which is by Mecha Tanaka. There's only like a few volumes of this, and I own this volume and volume number 2, but I just needed like a quick and enjoyable read. I'm behind on my Goodreads goal by like 3 books, and I just wanted to sort of boost up my goal, and I just needed a little break from an emotional book, and this was just like the perfect little gem because it was just quick and it was humorous and it's funny and there's some romance in there and it's just really cute. Like really, really cute, even though it's kind of like a little bit insta-lovey, but like it's just really cute. And I feel like mangas can be quite insta-lovey, but I still like really, really enjoyed reading this manga. So this is basically about this alien boy just falls from the earth one day and just tells this girl that he's picked. He's like, we are destined to be together and you are to bear my children because we have, you know, that sort of wavelength, the same wavelength. And she's just like, what? But that makes no sense because we don't have feelings for each other, like how could this possibly happen? And he's like, what? So she's kind of like basically teaching him about the human ways, the human emotions, and he's sort of learning them, and it's quite hilarious just the way that he learns them. So if you really like your graphic novels and your mangas, then you definitely need to pick this up. It's just really, really fun, and I like how it ended, and I definitely want to read like the next volume, and it's just got me into reading mangas again. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. So 5 out of 5 Kit Kats, a full show. So there you have it, guys. These were all of the samples and the books, and including the ebook that I read in September. So it wasn't a shameful reading month. I read 2 whole physical books, I read 1 manga and 2 samplers, and I've been really, really busy this month actually, to be fair, and that's no excuse. I actually have been busy. Like, work's been really, really busy. Now that I've got an extra promotion, I've got extra responsibilities, so I've kind of been like really busy, just sort of extra trainings and being in charge and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm finding it really hard to just struggle to have any sort of free time, and now and then I'm sort of seeing Ben as well. So yeah, it's just been like quite a busy month. It feels like it's been really busy, and I feel like that's why it's just gone really, really fast, but I still really enjoyed it. Still really, really enjoyed it. If I had to have a favourite book, I would probably actually say that Meteor Prince was like my favourite book of the month, just because it was just so fun and so enjoyable. And yeah, I'm just loving it. Just loving it, loving life, loving it, loving it, loving it. So let me know how you guys did down in the comments below. I would love to hear how you did. Let me know what you're planning on reading for the next month, which is October. I'm so excited for. I have a massive, massive TBR that I'm going to be choosing books from. So stay tuned for that video. That video is coming next. Thank you very much for watching my video as always. Keep smiling, keep reading, and be happy. And I'll see all of you wonderful, awesome people in my next video.